Hello everyone, my name is Kirsi Ekberg. I'm a mother of an amazing 12-year young girl. Also, I am a startup founder of Vilike, with whom we are gamifying education with AI technology and games. Also, I have been and still am advising Studisco.fi, an edugame startup with whom we are building a game for drug and substance education. And also working closely with Rehaboo, an AI game where your body is a controller. And also a few other things that I keep helping here and there because I like saying yes for projects and missions that have a great impact. And this is also the reason I am sharing my thoughts on how to make impact with technology and not just business. Because to me, I think everything we do in this life has a meaning. And we have a choice how our everyday actions make an impact and leave a mark for the future. And not too long ago, I came across with this simple 3-circle model by Simon Sinek. And at the core of those circles lies the heart of the startups. Why? In many cases, why can be an empty question. But in this case, it has a meaning. It is the reason, for example, Vilike exists. My why is also the reason I am sharing my thoughts on impact that I've learned during past 8 years as an edtech entrepreneur. And finding that why, it might not be easy. And actually to recognize it, that might also be challenging. And to me, I still remember the moment. I was studying children's physical exercise education and ICT at the same time in the university. And I remember sitting in a lecture where our professor told about the motor skills development of children. And I felt this aha, that, okay, could somehow the technology that I was studying at the time support the work that we as the sport instructors of children are doing. And also as a mother, I felt a strong interest to learn more how does my daughter develop, and then how does technology can do all the computing and things like that. So my why for Vilike arised from infinite interest to see how the technology can support the early childhood education. And that why took me forward. And it took me into the next step of Sinek's circles. How? Back in the days when I was thinking about the idea of digitalizing the motor skills development method, I had no clue how to do it. But I just kept pursuing towards on making it happen. And the first steps was to go and talk to someone in a startup school. And that early support has brought me here. Obviously on the way there has been ups and downs and struggles and burnouts and things like that, but that why has helped me to find the how. So I started the company, I asked questions, and along the years we've grown slowly, very slowly, to a point where we have a committed co-founding team and heartful people who share the same why, and we are seeking our how. And then after figuring out the how, like for example, I didn't even know that the shares can be sold. The beginning of the business was a journey, and it still is, because it's one media to take our why into action in real life. And then going from how, it goes into these little bits and pieces in different directions. That's this could be marketing, this can be advising, then there's accounting, then there's technical development, all of these, all the little what parts of your why, because all these little bits and pieces, you might not know them when you find your why, but I tell you, they will come around and you will find people who will help you go forward. And maybe the most important thing is to trust your why, no matter what. It's this very intuitive thrive that leads you forward, even through those moments when you think that I have nothing to give to my startup mission or a project, whatever it is. But if that why is so strong, it will carry you through the storm. And then this whole circle creates the values of the startup. For Vilike, for example, it creates the heart of what you are doing. And it has different use on impact as well, because impact can happen internally. As humans can choose to make the change for impact. But then also as a community and us as a small startup, we have our core values that we only do things that have a good impact. We don't produce something. We could have done a billion things, but we don't, because it has a bad impact, for example, for environment. So considering the choices is really important as you go forward on fulfilling your why. And those technical and product or service development choices, that it all goes also to the values, because those are the ones we can choose and we can act according to them. And I think we are so used to behaving and making choices by our experience. But like COVID, word mentioned, has taught us we need to change. We need to choose impact before business. We need to choose people and the planet before profit. And looking into the past, we can find the choices now that has a great impact for the future. And for that, one wise friend of mine once told me this quote: in between right and wrong, there is in this case there's a dot, but there is a field, and I meet you there. And I think that quote by Rumi is also something that helps me to make those choices for impact. And it keeps me strong on following those values I and we as a startup have set for us. And then going forward in the path of how, why, how, what, and then by what values, we need to remember that technology is a great servant, but a very bad master. One of my teachers in Haaga-Helia University referred that quote of technology to a fire, and it actually beholds the truth. Because if we lose ourselves of making something for sake of flames, for sake of things to burn, it loses the meaning. Because like in the nature, I'm also a forester, so I take care of the forests, and there the fire has a meaning. It purifies, it cleans, and gives kind of this ash and new nutrition, not sure it's the right word, for the ground. And once we can harness technology in a similar way, so that the purpose of technology supports our lives as individuals and as a society, and obviously the whole nature that we're living in, then it makes sense. And also keeping those in mind when we develop new technology for the purpose of our business is to consider the facts that is there something that we can do that then creates a positive impact in different levels in our global society, because those choices we can make. And in the end, every moment is a choice, and every choice matters. It makes a difference in a minor level and in a bigger scale level. Even though sometimes we think that our little action doesn't make a difference. But if a billion people think that their actions make a difference, it will. And I think the way the world is changing through technology and connectiveness, we have a choice to make an impact also as an individuals, if we choose to. So it is every day we can harness our why and choose to make the difference that has the good impact. Sometimes it might take us through relearning on the way we live our lives, and relearning the values on by which we make our choices. And that's why we do need to ask ourselves the questions. Is this way the right way? Or is it the wrong way? Or could there still be that field where I can meet you? And that is where we as individuals can find those choices to act differently. We don't have to do the things like we did in the past. We can change. And also the fact is, if we would not find that field to do things differently, we would still be writing in the stone, which is pretty amazing. But still, as humans responsible for our nature, there needs to be another way for us to make business. We cannot keep going the same way, where we just take whatever we find, put it into some form of a product that has a price, and we'll throw that product out to get the profit. It doesn't serve the long-term purpose. It does serve the short-term profit, which then again is used for something. It's very narrow-minded thinking. It might serve the capitalistic ecosystem, but it does destroy our nature. And in the end, I think we all need to go into ourselves and rethink how we live our lives. And we can do it. It's the only way to go forward and make those choices when we develop the technology and our businesses, when we're trying to make a living, whether you're a single entrepreneur or a startup or a company or an organization, we can choose to find an alternative way that sustains also the future, because it is our responsibility not only take care of ourselves at this very moment, but there is a future that also has right to live in our beautiful nature. I keep repeating the words, but and I guess in the end, we could rationalize things and we can start measuring how our choices in business or technology impact the society and the nature. But in the end, it all goes, like I said, to ourselves. And I'm really calling out that little child in every one of us. We don't need the things we think we need. It's the marketing and all the plastic stuff and products. We don't need it. It's very little that we actually really need to be happy. And finding that less is more attitude might actually also help to grow towards more sustainable everyday living and building the businesses. And have the grit to make your own way. Find the more sustainable way. Be the impact that you want to see around you and hopefully in the future. Because it's in every one of us at the very core. Maybe we just lose it in the way. And that's why can be a meaningless question, but it can also be the thriver for impact, no matter what way you choose to go forward. Just find your why and your little child and start making those choices for the future, and buy the values that are sustainable and have a good effect on everything around you. It wasn't very tangible talk, but I'm really happy to record this and really happy that you are listening. It is a learning path for every one of us, and we can grow, we can learn, and we can pay the good forward. Just have faith in it and believe in yourself and find that field between the right and the wrong. Thank you, everyone. Sending you all much love, grit, and patience from Finland, and hoping you are having a great GWE event. Kiitos.